Hey there, it is Rachel, and I want to talk a little bit about the drama that happens when we ask our kids to get off of their screens. We tell them it's time for dinner or they have to go to bed, so they have to stop doing whatever they're doing on their device, and it turns into drama. And if we're being honest, a lot of the drama does come from our kids and their reaction, but we also create drama as well when they have a reaction and we react to their reaction. We struggle to keep our cool when they react to screen time limits. So here's how it usually goes. Maybe your child is on their device, they're on their computer, they're on their iPad, they're doing something, and you ask them to stop. You ask them to get off and do the next thing, and they have this really big reaction. They tell you how unfair you are. Their parents aren't making them get off, and how dare you do this to them. They have a really big reaction, and what happens is then we react to their reaction, and the situation goes downhill. And we know that the situation goes downhill when we react, but it's very hard for us not to react. We can intellectually recognize that, yes, my child is going to have a reaction. They're not a robot, they have feelings. But when we're in that moment and they do have some sort of big response, we tend to lose our cool. So I want to talk about why, for most of us, it is actually very likely that we're going to lose our cool. What tends to trigger us? So I want to talk about why we struggle to keep our cool when kids react to our screen time limits. And actually, for most of us, these are the same reasons that we all lose our cool. And it actually has to, and those reasons have to do with our own past, present, and future. So let me tell you what I mean by that. We tend to get triggered first by what we learned in the past. So most of us learned in the past that kids need to do what they're asked the first time that they're asked, and that they should have a good attitude about it. So when our kids don't have a good attitude about it, we think something like, if they don't get off of their device when we ask them to, they're being disrespectful, and this is unacceptable. And those thoughts create a problem or a threat in our head. That problem or threat turns on our fight or flight response. And that's where things start to go downhill. Because when we go into fight or flight, we lose our cool, and we actually also lose our influence, and the situation gets worse. So our past affects us. In addition to that, our fear of what will happen in the future tends to trigger us. So we think things like, if my child doesn't listen now, if they're having this big reaction when I ask them to get off of their screen now, they're never going to listen. They're always going to question me. They're always going to be disrespectful. Everything will be harder. And maybe we're also thinking, well, they're not going to listen to their teacher, and they're not going to listen to their boss, and their life is going to be horrible. So we have all of these thoughts or all of these beliefs about what's going to happen in the future. So in that moment, we're thinking, I need to do anything I can to make them listen. This is our attempt to make the future turn out better. But what it does is it leads to us getting very frustrated when making them do something doesn't work. Then our fight or flight response kicks in, we lose our cool, and we lose our influence. Now, in addition to our past and our fear of the future, we are also triggered by our present level of yuck, or our present level of stress or overwhelm, or whatever discomfort we're feeling. The truth is, when we have a lot of yuck, we're really in this space where we're thinking, I can't keep having this same fight over and over about these screens. I don't have time for this, and I'm exhausted. So we're thinking thoughts like, why do they always have to make everything so hard? Now, this thought is going to trigger our fight or flight response, which is going to trigger that big reaction, and we are going to make things worse. So if you want situations to be different, it's really important to actually be aware of your triggers. What did you learn in the past? What is your fear of the future? What is your present level of yuck? Now, if you want to talk about what's going on for you, why you get triggered, and maybe you also want to know why your child is having that big reaction to begin with, I'd be happy to talk to you about this. If you want to learn how to not be controlled by your triggers, how to reduce the drama related to screen time for you and for your child, I'm happy to have a conversation with you about it. All you need to do is email the word screens, put that in the subject line, to info@rachel-bailey.com, and we will send you directions back on how we can have that free conversation together. I really do want to help you reduce the drama in your home as it relates to screens and everything else, but specifically as it relates to screens right now. So feel free to reach out. I would love to speak with you. Take care.